Alright, boys. Another day, another cut content. Let's see what we have today for episode 14. What the anime didn't show from Emilia's past. Let's get into it. Shout out to you, AniNews, once again. Thank you so much for the cut content. Let's get it.
The small hints towards Emilia's past were definitely a big part of this episode.
Yeah.
And while there were a few important details that didn't make it into the anime, it actually wasn't the most significant change made.
Okay.
No, the most significant change actually comes from the previous episode. An emotional encounter between Amelia and Subaru that went to change Subaru's very way of thinking. It also ties deeply into a lot of the events that happened this episode.
Yeah, the scene that he mentioned that it took place, it was after the Roswaal conversation in episode 13, where I think Subaru met up with Amelia, and then that's when the Otto scene happened, and that's why he was running away. I think that was the order of the
Amelia
scene.
and Subaru that went to change Subaru's very way of thinking. It also ties deeply into a lot of the events that happened this episode.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this and more as we continue our ReZero Cut content series.
Let's go.
But first, this video is sponsored by Surfshark.
Get your bag. Alright. Let's go.
Surfshark.deals before we even get to the part with AniNews. Now, let's get back to the video. Before we even get to the part with Otto and Subaru, Subaru had first come from a conversation with Amelia.
Yeah.
A fairly significant and emotional scene that I initially thought was going to be included this episode. But because it wasn't, it's likely it won't be included at all.
Alright.
So this has to be talked about first before anything else.
Yeah, he pretty much said he didn't include this scene or didn't talk about it in the last cut content because I was like, oh, they'll probably just add it in the anime. But no, so it's just full cut content? For sure?
It takes place right before Subaru was running through the forest. After having learned about Roswaal's plans, he was simply walking around Sanctuary trying to figure out what to do. It was as he did that Amelia appeared somewhere along the path, calling out to him to see what was troubling him. Just from the look on his face, she immediately knew that something was bothering him. So she offered to listen to anything Subaru wanted to say. At first, he was reluctant to share what that was. So rather than talk about it, he instead redirected the conversation towards Amelia, changing the topic to the one thing that he shouldn't have, her trial. Unlike Subaru though, Amelia was very open towards how she felt about it. She talked all about how she just wanted to run away from it, a feeling that Subaru couldn't help but resonate with. Because of this, Subaru immediately told Amelia that it was okay to think that way. He didn't even let her finish talking before he started trying to half-heartedly justify the benefits of it.
Jeez.
Words just kept coming out as Amelia became more and more perplexed by Subaru's sudden odd behavior.
Oh my god, Subaru. If you want to run, isn't that fine? If you see a path leading somewhere after you run that's different from before, is choosing that something you should be criticized for? Oh my god, if you don't want to do it, what's wrong with running away? By forcing yourself to face something you don't want to, will you conquer it someday? Do you have to overcome it? Interesting. I mean, yeah, Subaru's definitely had these thoughts before, the whole running away thing. So the fact that Amelia said that, he just started like spouting and just saying all these things.
It got to the point that Subaru wasn't even sure what he was trying to say anymore.
Yo.
What may have started out as him trying to be consoling was now nothing more than Subaru just deflecting his own problems.
Yeah.
He began to talk about how everyone else was so self-centered. All they ever did was order him around or expect him to do things their way. But never once did they ever take the time to consider that maybe he was trying to do things his way. So, as he talked all about how he'd just been being manipulated this entire time, his emotions continued to rise and his head became dizzy. He would have been lost in a senseless rage had Amelia not stepped in to calm him down.
Yeah.
She brought his head close to her chest and told him to take things slower, placing it right by her heart so that he could be calmed by the melodic sound of its beating.
Oh.
It was such a surprising gesture that Subaru couldn't even tell what was happening. Only after a few seconds did he finally realize that he was being hugged by her, creating a moment very similar to the one in the mansion. Of course, Subaru became all flustered by it, but to Amelia this was just her helping him in the only way that she knew how to. So it was in this moment of vulnerability that Subaru began to pour out everything. He began to talk all about how he just wanted to help her.
Man, we're going back to episode 8, was it? Season 1, we're going back to season 1. That moment at the mansion with this one, bro. We're going back.
How he just wanted to make things a little bit easier and give her a bit more comfort. But even after trying so many times, he still had absolutely nothing to show for it. After hearing Subaru's intent, Amelia responded in a way that he never would have expected. She was happy he felt this way but refused to accept it. Yes, she did appreciate what he's been doing, but she refused to allow him to search for an easy way out for her.
She doesn't want to rely on Subaru because she wants... Okay, I think she's mentioned this before, right? Like, the whole, like, she wants to do it herself. She doesn't want to keep relying on Subaru, and pretty much him being, like, the easy way out, always rely on Subaru. She also wants to do it herself and have this just... for example, like the trial thing with the villagers. Like, it's important that Emilia does it by herself to gain the support and the confidence in other people. That's why she wants that.
Finding a loophole past the trials just wasn't something she could accept. Despite them being a mission that someone else forced onto her, she had still made it her own personal goal to beat them.
Yeah.
So it was here that Amelia completely and wholeheartedly rejected Subaru's resolve. She wasn't going to allow him or anyone else make excuses for her. To Subaru, this was Amelia putting on a display of unshakable determination. It went to showcase just how commanding her will could be. I mean, this was no longer the weak girl he'd been seeing the past few loops.
Yeah?
No. Instead, this was the Amelia whose resolve was currently at its peak. An Amelia who Subaru never once thought to believe in. As Subaru was at a loss for words, Amelia went on to ask one last question. She wanted to know why he was trying so hard to help her. To which the answer was the same as it's always been.
Like, I feel like she's asked this multiple times, like a lot of times actually, like, why do you help me? Why do you help me? It's because I love you. And you know what? Maybe it's either hard for her to believe, or she doesn't know what she doesn't know what love really is, right? Like, she's been pretty much like away from any of those topics pretty much her entire life. Like, she doesn't know what love is. So maybe she tries to ask these, either she's generally just like forgetful, or like she really wants to understand like the meaning of love and why Subaru actually helps her. Because I don't know if she knows what the true what Subaru is saying here really means. I don't know, because she's asked this multiple times already.
To know why he was trying so hard to help her.
It's nice that Subaru still says the exact same thing though, like, because I love you, like he just says the exact same thing over and over again.
To which the answer was the same as it's always been.
Yeah.
Since this was the answer she expected, Amelia already knew what to say in response.
Okay, so she was expecting it. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, I'm about to say, like, come on, man. It's like the millionth time you've asked this, so she was expecting it. She wants to answer it this time?
It was because Subaru loved her that she was completely fine with him just supporting her.
Oh.
There was no need for him to go so far, because all she ever wanted was for him to just stay by her side. All she needed was for him to be there to push her forward.
So support her, push her forward, but I guess not get directly involved and pretty much take the easy way out. Interesting, just be the supporting role. Or emotional support, okay.
Though she might stumble and fall, that failure was part of the reason why he was needed. So long as he was there to watch her as she tried her best, then that was all that Amelia could ever want from him.
Okay.
And that's exactly what she was telling him right now. So, when confronted by such a strong conviction to do this herself, Subaru was now overcome by an immense feeling of shame.
Yeah.
He was only now realizing how truly prideful and conceited he'd been. And that's because he finally understood that he was the one who doubted Amelia the most.
That sucks. Yeah. But it's like, another thing is like, I mean, come on. I mean, the issue, like, pretty much the reason that he also, I think the reason that he also doubted her the most is because I swear he's like seen her fail the most. The many loops, so many different times that he's seen the same thing over and over again, which is Amelia failing. The reason that he's probably the most, I guess, like the least hopeful one is because of how many times he's seen the same thing over and over again. In every loop, and every time that he tries to change the sequence of events, it's the same thing. Amelia keeps failing. Also, prideful mentioned again. I think as someone mentioned that pride is still a very big mystery in the novels. Is that true? Like the whole pride thing? Now, when pride is a mystery, do they mean like Archbishop? Because obviously we know the Witch of Pride. Like the Archbishop is a mystery, or like the entire, like, I guess like concept of pride. Like is that still a mystery? Like what exactly is the mystery of pride? Because that's very interesting if it's still not really confirmed, the whole pride thing.
Overcome by an immense feeling of shame. He was only now realizing how truly prideful and conceited he'd been. And that's because he finally understood that he was the one who doubted Amelia the most. Despite being the person she needed the most to have believe in her, he was actually the single person who believed in her the least.
Wow. The person who's supposed to believe in her the most is the person who believes in her the least. My God, that's... whew, what a line.
Not once did he ever try to place faith in Emilia's resolve, determination, or strength. Once that fact really sunk in, it made Subaru begin to run out of a feeling of pure and insufferable shame.
Yeah, he ran away in just pure shame and he just did not feel good about himself, and that's why we saw him run away out of nowhere. Because in the anime, it just seemed like he saw the Roswaal thing and he just started running. But no, it was the Emilia scene that happened. Okay.
It's why we saw him frantically running through the forest at the end of episode 38.
That makes sense.
Which leads us now to the beginning of episode 39.
Yeah.
Straight Bet.
Covering
chapters 2 to 4 of volume 13 of the light novel. We start things off with Otto's confrontation with Subaru.
Yo, the music. Yo, AniNews, bro. Damn, this is epic. What the fuck?
13 of the light novel. We start things off with Otto's confrontation with Subaru.
Okay.
A faithful scene in which Otto made it painfully clear that Subaru's lack of intellect and strength wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for what he wanted to do or who he wanted to be. We saw that this was a point Otto literally had to beat into Subaru in order to finally get him to talk.
Yeah.
But what they didn't show was what they talked about. It's a cutscene that's briefly mentioned in the ReZero break time show.
Oh my God. You know, there was one person who said, yo, watch the break times. Watch the break times before the content. You know what, bro? I might have to start switching the order. It's just, I like to do like the longer episodes, right? Like the longer length videos. And then I go to the break time and finish it off with a little break time. But if AniNews keeps referencing these break times, we go have an issue, but
to sum it up, Subaru
I'm looking away.
Told Otto everything he could.
Right.
The only things he omitted were the details on Return by Death and the Witch's Tea Party.
Okay.
So everything from the mansion to Roswaal's plans and intentions were...
So yeah, that was my doubt. Okay, so he told everything. He told everything to Otto, except obviously Return by Death and the Witch's Tea Party. Interesting. So everything else, though.
Now common knowledge. Despite that painting a picture where Subaru had no chance of winning, Otto still accepted Subaru's story for what it was, following it up by saying that he was going to ignore the odds. So, for the first time in his life, Otto was willing to join the losing side.
Wow.
A decision that went against every part of him that was a merchant. Now, when Subaru went to go make his bet with Roswaal, he actually interrupted him as Ram was changing his bandages.
Oh, really?
So, both had put on an expression of surprise that Subaru never expected to see from them. Given that this was such an abrupt occurrence, Ram immediately intervened to get Subaru to leave. She refused to allow him to talk to Roswaal.
Okay.
This made Subaru think that something like last time might happen. So, just in case it did, Subaru simply put his palm in her face and completely ignored her, proceeding to tilt his head towards Roswaal and make a proposal. He asked if Roswaal had the guts to push himself for the sake of his successor. A very specific set of wording that referred to Return by Death without actually talking about it.
Smart. Interesting. So what, Ram was supposed to be in that scene? Okay.
It was meant to convey his intent to Roswaal without revealing anything to Ram.
Yeah.
And it actually worked to get him to listen. So, Roswaal ordered Ram to leave so the two could talk in private.
Okay.
At first, they discussed Subaru's sudden change in attitude. I mean, it was only last night that he was begging for forgiveness.
Yeah.
But now he was confidently trying to make a bargain. When Subaru said that it was because of a friend, Roswaal immediately shook his head in despair. He found Subaru's reliance on others to be soft and weak.
Yeah, soft and weak. He wants him to throw his humanity away, right? His human heart. What was the line? Like the human heart is a hindrance or some shit that he said in that episode. Like, oh my God.
He found Subaru's reliance on others to be soft and weak.
Yeah.
He believed it was a naive mindset to think the suffering of the world could be solved with the help of others. To him, this was something that could only be done alone. So it was this conflict of ideals that made Subaru want to make this bet.
Yeah, cooperation versus self-reliance. Okay.
It's not like what they both wanted were very different. It's just that the approach they were taking to get it were completely opposite to each other, and compromise wasn't something either found to be possible. So that brings us now to the purpose of the bet. What Subaru intended to do was prove Roswaal's approach to be wrong by beating his plans with the cooperation of others.
He's just trying to put the power of friendship with the power of friendship. He's trying to beat Roswaal with the power of friendship. Very interesting. Okay.
Roswaal's approach to be wrong by beating his plans with the cooperation of others.
Alright.
If he wasn't able to do it, then he would no longer try to stray from the path that Roswaal wanted for him.
Okay.
That said, there was a limit to the amount of trust Roswaal was willing to place in this bet. He was well aware that Subaru could just not follow through with it. So when he asked Subaru what's to stop him from going back on his word, Subaru responded back in a very earnest manner, asking if he really thought he'd do that, all while never breaking eye contact with Roswaal. It was a firm declaration of solidarity that Roswaal couldn't help but abide by.
Yeah, if you think I would, we have nothing to discuss on this conversation here. Okay, Subaru?
Leading to everything being laid out on the table and the bet being made.
Wow.
Now, once that was done, we find out that Ram had been listening the entire time.
Oh.
Not by eavesdropping like in the traditional sense, but instead by using her clairvoyance. She had used this ability to synchronize her own vision with Roswaal's, making it so that it was as if she was in the room the entire time. Since the rest of their conversation was pretty much as we saw, we can move on to when Otto appeared after to talk about the plan. A conversation in which they talked a bit more about Garfiel. The two had concluded that Garfiel's cooperation was an absolute necessity. Yes, he did prove to be a formidable roadblock in the past, but he was also the easiest person to bring to their side. Unlike Roswaal, Garfiel's views were neither conflicting nor unwavering. The only issue was Subaru's personal disdain towards him. A feeling of resentment that birthed from all the previous loops. As soon as Otto heard that this was the problem, he immediately began to scold Subaru for allowing personal matters to get in the way of such a time-sensitive matter.
True.
To waste time thinking about such a sentiment was completely unproductive. Luckily, Otto was there to keep him focused on the main objective. That said, the key to gaining Garfiel's help rested in the advice Echidna gave him. That was what he needed to focus on. As for the problems revolving around Amelia, Ram's recent advice made him realize that he needed to help her find what she was stumbling on. That was the only way he could help her get past the trials.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before we get to that though, we first have to go through his conversation with Ryuzu. A discussion in which Subaru could have just used his authority to make happen quicker. If he was only focused on the results, then that's definitely something that he would have taken advantage of.
Yeah, he could have just done that.
But because he wasn't, this wasn't something he was comfortable with doing. If he used his authority and treated Ryuzu as just a mere doll, then Subaru felt it would end up damaging something important to him. That's why he wanted to speak to Ryuzu the proper way. So, with his hand now rested on her shoulder, the first thing Subaru asked was how much she knew about Roswaal's thinking, to which she could only say one thing. The book Roswaal had was given to him by Echidna. As for the previous...
Yeah, I could I don't know if that was told in the anime, but I could kind of just guess, right? It makes sense, right? Knowledge. Who's greedy for knowledge? Knows everything. I mean, come on. Yeah, Echidna.
Had was given to him by Echidna.
Yeah.
As for the previous generations of Roswaals, well, she had heard directly from them that the book had told them to take care of Sanctuary, all for the purpose of eventually greeting the awaited one.
Whoa. Okay, run that by me again, real quick. So this is Roswaal J. Mathers. Damn. Okay.
One thing. The book Roswaal had was given to him by Echidna. As for the previous generations of Roswaals, well, she had heard directly from them that the book had told them to take care of Sanctuary.
Okay.
All for the purpose of eventually greeting the awaited one. That was all that she knew about it.
The awaited one.
Subaru then asked if she knew the easiest way to liberate Sanctuary. Since he thought he was talking to Ryuzu, he actually came prepared to convince her that it was for everyone's best interest that Sanctuary be freed.
Yeah.
He made the point that it should be up to every individual on whether they wanted to stay or leave. A point that he was shocked to see Ryuzu actually agree with.
Yep, because that, I mean, I was with Subaru too. I was like, wait, damn minute, wait, this is not Shima, bro. Because she said her name like Arma. Was it Arma? Alma? It was Arma or something like that. And I was like, wait, what? That's not the fucking name. So yeah, it's also the different coat, like the different like jacket as well. I don't know why I didn't notice that, but I mean, I've noticed the jackets changed, but I thought she just had different drip. I ain't gonna lie. What does it say here? Whether one stays or goes can be left up to each person, but I won't let you keep the door. Okay, it's just what Subaru said. Okay.
So that led to the clarification of there being multiple Ryuzus.
Yep.
Each destined to watch over Sanctuary and the original for all eternity.
I did remember there was 4 different ones. It's just for some reason it didn't click that wasn't like the Shima, like the one that pretty much was against liberating the Sanctuary.
Now, Subaru wasn't going to try to interfere with their given job, but he did say that if any of the Ryuzus sought a life outside of what they currently knew, then he would certainly try his best to make that happen. He wanted to help them become something beyond that of a replica.
Okay.
This topic of conversation eventually made its way towards Garfiel's past. The anime did mention how the trial he faced was the memory of his mother leaving.
Whoa, what is this illustration? What is this? Will we see this in the future? So what, that's the mom? Federica and Garfield? What? And look at Ryuzu here. Huh, interesting, what?
This topic of conversation eventually made its way towards Garfiel's past. The anime did mention how the trial he faced was the memory of his mother leaving, but it didn't quite continue on to explain exactly why he hated the outside world.
So the trial, was that mentioned in the episode? That the trial was the mother leaving?
But it didn't quite continue on to explain. This topic of conversation eventually made its way towards Garfield's
Trying to make sure I get it.
The anime did mention how the trial he faced was the memory of his mother leaving.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I just forgot. I don't know. I didn't
mention how the trial he faced was the memory of his mother leaving.
Okay, I guess I just like missed that. The trial was the memory of his mom leaving. Okay.
But it didn't quite continue on to explain exactly why he hated the outside world. You see, the reason for Garfiel's resentment isn't so much because his mother and sister left him. It's more so because the outside world stole them from him. Even if he did want to go out there and find them, he still wouldn't be able to bring Ryuzu or anyone else with him. So that in itself forced Garfield to make a choice. A choice in which the only 2 options were his family or the people of Sanctuary.
Family or people of Sanctuary.
For him to have to choose what was more important, well, that was something Ryuzu was sure Garfield anguished over every day.
Yeah.
When we get to the next scene with Amelia, she first apologized for being in such a sorry state. I mean, it was only last night that she had just asked Subaru to watch her do her best.
And now with this context, it's like, damn. Because in the anime, you don't see that scene, and it's like, oh, she's just very down about the trial. But now that you have the context of, like, the scene that they literally had, the moment they had last night, bro, like, damn.
So she wasn't exactly happy to have him see her be so weak.
Yeah.
It did, however, present him with the opportunity to follow through with one of her requests. Since all she wanted was his support, that's exactly what he was here to give, leading to their conversation about Emilia's past.
Yep.
Now, what the anime didn't tell us was the exact number of years that Amelia was frozen for. We know that she was frozen when she was 7 years old.
Okay.
And we know that when she awoke, she went on to live with Puck in the forest for 7 more years.
So wait, whoa. Let's get the years. Let's get the years, because this girl, her age is a fucking mystery. I know she's old as fuck, but
that Amelia was frozen for. We know that she was frozen when she was 7 years old.
She was frozen when she was 7.
And we know that when she awoke, she went on to live with Puck in the forest for 7 more years.
7 more years,
But
okay.
the very crucial number that's missing is the 100 years that passed while she was frozen.
Oh my god. 100 years when she was frozen for? Is that 100 fucking years? Holy shit. There we go. That makes so much sense.
A century of icy imprisonment during which her physical body continued to grow at a very slow rate, much to the point that she couldn't even recognize it as her own when she awoke. What this means is that there's a significant discrepancy between Emilia's real age, apparent age, and mental age.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Real age, apparent age, mental age. They're all different.
None of which align with what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
When you take everything into account, she was 107 years old after emerging from the ice.
Right, she's 107. 107 after she emerges.
So that means her real age is currently 114.
So she's 114 years old. There it is. There it is. It's finally okay. Thank you, AniNews. that was like the biggest, like a big fucking thing I really wanted to know, like, cause they kept fucking saying like this girl is old, saying some old ass words, and Subaru pointing it out for the entire series. So she's 114. Okay, what the
When
hell?
you take everything into account, she was 107 years old after emerging from the ice. So that means her real age is currently 114.
Wow.
Despite her physical appearance making her look like she's 18,
yeah.
In terms of her mental age, she's actually only 14.
Real age, 114. Apparent age, 18. Mental age, 14. What the fuck? We have 3 different fucking... Okay, but it does make sense. Okay.
So it really is a very perplexing way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Her elven blood had gone to disorient whatever vague concept of aging she already had.
Jesus.
That said, it did explain a lot of Emilia's more peculiar behavior. Specifically her ignorance of modern affairs or her use of phrases that no one says anymore. It also made Subaru feel quite sorry for her. He couldn't help but feel bad for Amelia and the heavy burden she's been given. Especially now that he knew she was mentally only the same age as Felt.
Crazy.
It was a revelation in which the only thing Subaru could think of was why. As Amelia went on to talk about the settlement of elves she lived with, Subaru made the mistake of asking about her family. I mean, it was only natural to be curious about her parents and or siblings. But it was only after asking that he realized she only ever referred to Puck as her family. So it was a question that led Amelia into the state of panic like how we saw in the anime. Now, just like how Amelia had done to him the night before, Subaru brought her head to his chest and told her to take things slower.
It's like, why did that scene get removed? Are we actually not seeing that scene? It just got cut? It's such an important scene. I feel like it gives so much more context to everything that happens after. So the fact that they cut it is so weird, dude. So that entire scene, I was like, oh, that's cool that he put her head on his chest. That's very nice. It's very sweet. But that's because that also happened the day before. And there's like a more context to it. Like, what? Yo,
panic like how we saw in the anime.
Very interesting.
Now, just like how Amelia had done to him the night before, Subaru brought her head to his chest and told her to take things slower, using the beat of his heart to calm her down just as she once did. When she continued on to the part about Roswaal, he actually didn't exactly say that he was the one who could help free the other elves. What he said was something more along the lines of, if she was to win the throne, then surely her wish to melt the forest's ice would be granted.
That's not very reassuring. Not very hopeful. If you are able to gain the little typo here, right? Yo, come on, man. No, I'm kidding. If you are able to gain the throne, surely your wish to melt the forest ice shall be granted. Yeah, it's the surely here. It's the fucking surely. Surely, like, no, I don't. Yeah.
So he didn't say exactly how that was going to be done or who was going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Either way, both served to lure Amelia out of the forest. It was a plot in which Subaru knew Amelia wasn't even a main component of. Her participation in the royal selection was nothing more than a means to draw out someone more powerful. She was simply bait for the strongest asset that was fated to appear beneath her.
Shit. Shit, bro. This is crazy. God, Roswaal is just... what a character.
An asset that Roswaal was hoping to take advantage of for himself.
Yep.
The more Subaru thought about it, the more angry he became and the more he just wanted to break off all ties with Roswaal. But he knew that that couldn't be done until everything was finished. So instead he just focused on Amelia. After she'd fallen asleep, Subaru was able to piece together that the thing preventing her from completing the trials was the gap in her memories. It was the only thing that made sense, as Echidna wasn't the type of witch to make her trials insurmountable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main reason why the trials were so hard for her. It was the gap in the memories, the seal that she had on her memories, which makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense why she was struggling. It wasn't really because she didn't even have all her memories available in the first place.
Sure, she did have a pretty twisted personality, but there was a certain method to her madness.
Exactly.
So there had to be a way for Amelia to beat the trial. Now, everything after this up until Amelia wakes up is pretty much the same.
Okay.
But it's when she does that we're actually given a closer look into her mental state. Unlike in the anime, Puck didn't appear right away.
Oh.
At first, Amelia found herself overcome by an immense feeling of loneliness. Waking up to find that her right hand was empty made her realize just how much comfort Subaru's hand had brought her when it was there.
Wow.
It was a sentiment she knew to be selfish yet couldn't help but yearn for. All she wanted was to have the warmth of his hand still be there.
Aww.
As she wondered if it was self-centered to think this way, thoughts of hypocrisy arose out of the memories of everything she'd said the night before. Remember, she had spoken all about how she could be strong all by herself. Yet, here she was now feeling relief knowing that Subaru had come to help her.
Exactly.
Although she didn't want to accept it, the selfish hope to have Subaru save her like he always did still lingered in the back of her mind. It was coming from the part of her that just wanted to run away.
Oof.
Now, when Puck did finally call out to her, Amelia was immediately confronted by an impossible decision.
Okay.
She was being made to choose between the warmth that had always been beside her, or the frigid past that had been sealed away from her. There was no outcome where she could have both. So, as the short time she had to make her choice slowly ticked away, she found that she was unable to move her hands towards Puck. She wasn't able to choose him over the voices that called to her from her past.
Yeah.
As Puck's existence began to disperse, so too did Amelia's consciousness begin to fade, eventually ending with her saying some words that could point to something a bit more significant.
Ooh.
In the next scene with Garfiel, there's a bit more to be said about his relationship with Ryuzu. He treats both Shima and the other three founders as if they were his grandmother. He had convinced himself that that's what they were to him. It didn't matter if they weren't actually related, because to him what mattered the most was what was on the inside. To him, that was what determined a person's true nature. It's for this reason that he could treat Shima and the others with such respect, while still having absolutely no regard for any of the replicas. It's also why he was so fond of Ram. What he saw in her was one of the most beautiful cores of all.
Okay,
now,
Garfiel.
When Garfiel had left Shima's house, he actually just so happened to bump into her. It was a rather unusual encounter since Ram wasn't normally ever out this late, especially not in these parts of the woods. As it turns out, she was only there because she had nothing better to do. She had passed off any duty she had to Subaru. Since Garfiel wasn't sure what to say, he decided to ask Ram if she had any regrets, to which she retorted by saying she regretted having to answer his question. Her real answer, though, was that she couldn't think of any. There was nothing specific that came to mind when she thought about it.
Okay.
So this was one of the things that Garfiel found to make her so charming. There was, however, this feeling that something was missing. It wasn't enough to constitute a regret, but it did create this strange feeling of unease. So, not wanting to talk about it any further, Ram simply ended the conversation and ordered Garfiel to walk her back to the settlement.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess this. She means Rem, right? Like, there's something missing there. You know, a very important person. Something is missing there.
It was as he did that he briefly thought about Shima being left in the cabin, but he was certain that this quiet night in Sanctuary would continue. So he simply disregarded it and continued on his way.
Okay.
Now, the last thing worth mentioning is Emilia's brief memory from the past. The woman who we saw said a bit more than what was shown. She was apologizing for not teaching Amelia any of the important things. She was also apologizing for hiding everything from her. All she wanted was for her princess to be happy. So she had told a few white lies in order to get people not to hate her. It was a desperate plea that Amelia completely rejected. She hated the lies that brought nothing but sadness. So she couldn't accept what this woman was saying.
Whew.
Anyway,
okay.
That's pretty much it for this episode.
Alright.
As I'm sure you could tell, a lot of Amelia and Subaru's actions stem from that one conversation they had.
Literally.
It also gives more context to Amelia's mindset from this week's episode. So it's not quite like ReZero to miss out on important scenes like that.
For sure. It's kind of weird, right? Like, it's such an important scene and they cut it out. That's wild.
But I'm sure it was just a one-time thing to get where they needed to be for the finale.
Yeah, probably. It was probably one of, I think it's just one of those things where they had to do it, and it's just one of those things where they had to do a one-time thing that, you know, just to like be able to actually get to the finale and actually get everything done because again, it's also because, you know, time constraints and, you know, trying to make everything fit together as well. So I mean, maybe that's why they had to do that, but it's such an important scene.
Now, before I go, I'd like to thank Surfshark once again.
That should be it, ladies and gentlemen.
/AniNews and enjoyed this type of anime content.
That is it for today's cut content. Another banger. AniNews, another banger, bro. Yeah, this shit was peak, bro. Mainly that scene though. That scene being cut, is fucking wild to me. Such a fucking cause like he said that, and pretty much everything after that literally had to do with that scene. Especially that when Subaru put Emilia's head on his chest. Like now, you know, knowing that they pretty much had a moment like that the night before makes it like hit different as well. So, all right, another banger cut content from AniNews. Thank you so much once again, AniNews. You the GOAT. That's gonna be it for today's cut content. If you're new, subscribe, leave a like down below. The full uncut version to all ReZero content will be on Patreon. As always, have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. See you guys.